Hi.
Hi.
It's not a real hi. I've been talking to you for hours.
Yeah, but it's a formal hi. We're like
It's a formal hi.
officially greeting each other.
Yeah. Do we read cheers? I feel like we read cheers. Wait,
Yes.
oh, you're done with your coffee.
Yeah, but like I still have an
Is
empty
that
cup.
bad
It's a cup.
luck?
I mean, there's a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit in
Okay.
there. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Mm. Damn, I wish I could have thrown mine back like that because it looked really cool.
Oh,
But mine has way too much coffee in it. It would have really hurt.
don't let that stop you. Come on.
You can do it.
It's for
You can do it if
it's
you
for the
really try.
vibe. Come on.
Hi, Katie, Katie, Katie.
Yeah.
Here we are
Here we are.
after a couple failed attempts.
Yes, we got it started. We got it recording.
Do we want to do this?
Let's do
Are we
it.
ready?
Let's
Let's
go.
do it. Okay.
Okay.
So, we're starting a podcast.
Yes, we are.
This is episode 1.
Welcome.
Why? Well, welcome. Why are we doing it?
Oh man. I mean, so many things, right?
So many things.
So we are in a very interesting stage of life, both of us, where we have small children and many, many years now into just kind of a constant state of crisis and or trauma.
Yes.
And it's been a while since our nervous systems reached an appropriate baseline.
Like a while. A while.
Years into it.
Years.
The caffeine probably doesn't help that. But
No,
throughout all of it, one thing that has really blossomed is our relationship with each other and the ways in which we've been able to lean on each other and support each other and be there for each other. Like we've known each other for, I think we did the math, 12 years. Is that the right
Yeah,
number?
that feels right. I mean, it should be longer, right? Emotionally, I've known you since infancy.
I was there when you were sticking little rats in your overall pockets, but
Oh yeah, those were the days. Those were the days.
someday we'll be tech savvy enough to be like, insert photo here of rats in your pocket.
Oh, we can do that. But I believe in us.
Well, here, I was there when you had rats in your pockets. See? Like this.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, 12 years in, we're currently kind of the closest and most intimate portion of our relationship, I would say.
Absolutely, yes. Like how many times a day do you think that we Marco Polo each other? 50?
Somewhere in there. I mean, it's like there's probably hours of content.
Yes.
I would say it's not all good. A lot of it is like our phones being dropped and grabbed by our children and dragged around the house.
Yeah.
But there's also just a lot of processing and talking about hard stuff and really getting into what's going on in our lives.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, we're doing some important work for ourselves here.
Yeah.
I think I believe everybody needs a Katie. That's a thing that I tell people. Like when they're like, who's one of your best friends? I'm not going to say you're my only best friend because that might hurt other people's feelings, right? And I have other best friends too, but you're way up there. You're in the inner circle, you know this.
Yeah.
But I tell people, everybody needs a Katie because you are my safe place for all of these things that are just too hard to process with anybody else. So here's the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
We invite everyone else to come have a Katie and
Or a Maggie.
or a Maggie and be a part of what we're processing in our lives.
Yeah, because even
Right.
though like this phase of life feels so incredibly lonely and isolating, but very little of what we're going through is unique.
Yes.
And so it's just so interesting to feel like you're the only person in the world who's felt these things. And like probably the person behind you in the checkout line feels the exact same way.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So okay, here's the thing though. I know so much about you.
Yes. Should we let people in?
I think we should just
Give
a little
people a little
bit.
sneak preview on what we're talking about?
Yeah, like why? Why do we even need this space?
Yep.
Why do we need this?
Yeah. Okay, well, I can open us up as I get comfy
Great.
here in the driver's seat of my car.
Yeah, get comfy because I'm gonna do the same.
Nice.
Literally.
I don't know why this is the comfiest position, but it is. Universally, this is the
It
comfiest
is.
position.
I know. It is.
So let's talk about a little bit about like kind of the timeline of the last 4 years for each of us.
How about the timeline of trauma,
The
we'll call it.
timeline of trauma. So
TM.
let's see. In 2018, yes, it feels like it wasn't that long ago because we missed a couple of years in there. But 2018, my husband and I started trying to get pregnant. We got pregnant right away. Found out I was pregnant with twins. We were getting 2 babies for the gestational period of 1. I'm not going to say price of 1 because they're both very expensive.
Yes.
And shortly after I found out that I was pregnant, we also found out that my dad had gallbladder cancer, which is kind of similar in life expectancy to like pancreatic cancer. It's a fast and dirty one. We then found out that he had stage 4 and that we were on kind of a ticking timeline. So we moved down to San Diego, where my family's from Vancouver, Washington, where we lived, to kind of spend that time with him. So I was 8 months pregnant when we moved down there. We were just staying for a couple months. I gave birth to twins on the 8th, and then while I was still in the hospital, recovering, and one of my kids was just getting out of the NICU. On the 11th, my dad passed away. I didn't get to be there to say goodbye to him, and was in the throes of very early stages of postpartum, like still at the stage where you're taking stool softeners because it's terrifying to even poop. We then moved back to Vancouver. My husband was a teacher and didn't have another teaching contract. Also started struggling with what I think was most likely postpartum depression. The transition to parenthood was not a smooth one for him. And then just as things are starting to balance out a little bit, we decide we're going to go for round 2 and get pregnant with twins again. Which is
milk and eggs, that what we say. Katie's got the milk and she got the eggs.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing. So now we have babies 3 and 4 coming. We move into Portland into a larger house because all of a sudden our house is too small for a family of 6, which we did not anticipate being. Give birth to twins, and it's just now there's 4 children under the age of 2. I'm still haven't had time to grieve the loss of my dad. I'm still struggling in my marriage with my husband because he's struggling with his own mental health, and the transition to parenthood. And it's just there was just constant one thing after another, with no breathing room, no release space, and just really needing a space and an area to find myself and to process all the crazy shit that just went down for me.
Totally.
So we're doing okay, but there's still a lot there, and there's still a lot that's untouched so far. And so that's been a lot of kind of our conversations together, is figuring out how to be a person again, figuring out where there's room, figuring out how to be in touch with myself as an individual instead of just as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, because also we forgot to mention, and I'm grabbing this for emphasis, your mother now also lives in the same city as you.
Yes. My mom did also move to Portland, help out with childcare, have a little less travel, which is great and also complex.
Yes.
So
It's complicated.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's Katie in a nutshell,
There's my
right? It's not your whole person.
no, but it's the all the events that have led to
Yeah.
just a fully dysregulated nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. And you haven't had a calm 4 years.
I haven't, no. No, I haven't. My timeline of trauma, as I now say, TM, started, I feel like the year before, 2017, the year that I got married. And I immediately started questioning what I had gotten myself into. Like on my honeymoon, calling my mom in tears, wondering if I should go home. And then a few months later, visiting my family in Denver, again in tears, wondering if I want to return to Seattle or wherever I was living at that time. Might have been Pasadena. And I didn't know how to tap enough into, at that time, am I just having a feeling or is this a red flag? Now, this is going to be a recurring theme that you will see come up in my life and why I need a Katie, right? So, I spent probably from 2017 to 2021 symptom managing for my marriage. Like, maybe if we move, we'll feel better. Maybe if we buy a home. I was on the Zillow train so hard for a while. I just genuinely thought that was going to fix our life. We went back to therapy. We moved back. I moved back to Seattle. My husband moved up here for the first time with me. And we thought being around community would help and my family. And there was always this like baseline level of discontentment. Is that the word?
I think so.
Yeah. Mixed with the trauma of a truly toxic relationship that I didn't know how to talk about with people because I was pretty embarrassed about it, that this was the situation I got myself into. And I also didn't want to tarnish people's opinions of my spouse. I'm very close with my community. I wanted him to be a part of it. So in 2021, we got pregnant. Again, I was really hoping this baby was going to be like some sort of magic bullet, right? Like she is the she is the savior for our marriage. Has that ever happened before with children?
I mean, babies are well known to be saviors of marriages. It decreases stress levels exponentially.
100%, yes. I was just like, oh, it's going to be so bonding. Think of the memes. I mean, this was so subconscious because if these thoughts were in the front of my mind, I feel like I could have been like, Maggie, you're an idiot. But no. But when things really started turning for me is about 4 days after she was born, so much of the toxicity of our relationship then transferred into my new mother-daughter relationship. Cat butt, get out of here. And I was, as Katie mentioned, with the trauma that happened for her shortly after having your first set of twins, you are in such a fragile state, those first days and weeks postpartum, that to feel like this new identity marker for me was under threat. Mm-hmm. It was just too much to handle. And I felt so protective of this new bond that I had. That's when I started really asking harder questions about my relationship and went back to therapy on my own. Learned a lot of things about my relationship. Started opening up with friends and family about what was going on. And I got some really hard but good feedback that was basically like, yeah, we didn't know the extent of it, but we're not surprised. And that shit was hard to swallow. Excuse me, cricket. I'm sorry, y'all, but I just have a cat that's like really needy.
Cat's been through some trauma too. She
has, yeah. She needs her person. So when Esme was 6 months old, I left my marriage. And that was a really hard choice to make because she was so little. Lived with my sister for a little while in her 2-bedroom house. And we got real cozy. She's got a husband and a baby about almost the same age as my daughter, Esme. And after that, that's about 6 months ago. And Esme and I have been forging our own way forward and trying to figure it out. I've been trying to reclaim a lot of parts of myself, my self-trust in decision making, in building new relationships, my self-trust in my mothering, as well as like my financial stability as a single parent, and fulfillment in work and all these other things that are important to me that just haven't happened. So that's my trauma timeline, and the reason why I'm constantly Marco Poloing Katie to be like, hey, am I crazy? Or is this, like, do people normally feel this way? Because I don't trust my instincts anymore. And yeah, someday it would be great if I didn't have to Marco Polo Katie about that, right? Because I should be able to I need to know that on my inside instead of needing someone else to tell me my insides make sense. But for now, it's really what I need. And I think it's probably what a lot of people need.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially, I think every person out there who has become a parent has some level of trauma around it. Like, you're not sleeping, you're forgetting to eat, you barely have time to pee. Like, there's just so much going on, and your ability to separate yourself from this human being that you love so desperately and want to take care of and want to be there for, but also sometimes you need to take care of yourself, and how do you balance that? Like, this, it's just all so much. Like, it really does reorient your entire world around something that's not you.
Yes. I like to say that, like, becoming a mother is so weighty that it has a gravitational pull that, like, shifts the rest of your life, right? So, like, yes, you and I talk about parenting things together. Like, I'm always calling you and being like, is this normal? Because you have so many children, so you know.
At least one
and
of
I
them
like
has done it.
trust at least one of them has done it. But then it's also like the bending and shifting of the rest of our life that I feel like goes untouched in so many other conversations. People want to know about your kids. They want to know how they're doing, or how are you doing as a mother? Maybe you get that question. But then what about all the other parts of you, your relationship, your sense of self, your sense of body image, and feeling confident, comfortable in who you are? And that stuff matters a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so disorienting. And yeah, it's something that not a lot of your, like, normal support system but knows how to check in on.
Yes.
And so really going through it with somebody who's been there, who's in the mess of it, and also gives you space to, like, maybe you need time to just not talk about your kids and not talk about what they're doing, and just be a human being who, like, set the mothering and the children aside, but just be you again. And it's just such a weird, it's a very strange time. And so I think that's something
it really is.
Yeah, that we have both felt really called to, is understanding who we are in the context of motherhood, not just as mothers, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which is, like, I feel like a distinction that's not always made, right? That those are two different things. Yeah. That me in motherhood doesn't just mean me as a mother. It's so much more than that. And that's what we want to invite people into, to consider that for themselves alongside us, because we're still figuring it out, and we're figuring it out together. And we want that to be available for you too, because I think we both genuinely feel that you just can't do it alone. I think you said something when we were brainstorming about this together that, yes, you and I maybe in a different season of our lives would be categorized as having a codependent relationship. We're just up in each other's business so much.
All the time.
All the time. But it is so necessary right now to have that really like strong weave of support underneath you. And everybody deserves that. And yeah, I just fully believe no one should feel alone for a moment. If they need it, if they don't want it, if they don't want peace and quiet in their mind, if they need another person, you deserve another person.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we really wanted to move part of this conversation off of Marco Polo, whether, like, we don't really know what we're doing here with the podcast, whether other people listen to it.
Absolutely not.
Regardless of what it turns into. We wanted to give also ourselves a structure to have these conversations in a way where they were dedicated time. And it's not just fitting conversations in around the kids, but it really is giving ourselves the space to use our brains, to process our feelings and emotions the way that we want to, and with a space that feels validating for that. And to just use our brains creatively, to use our brains for something that is like the idea of problem solving, where if we fail completely and utterly, everyone's fine. Like, no one dies, no one gets hurt, no one doesn't have lunch, no one doesn't have socks or underwear, we're not out of diapers. Like, it's just a space for us to either thrive or fail, or somewhere in the middle, without consequence to the tiny humans in our lives.
Exactly. And like, I really like what you said about that we're just also figuring it out along the way, because what do you think? I feel like I'm creating a space for that, right? Because what are we going to learn about ourselves in this process? I think a lot.
So much. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous too. It basically feels like you're my therapist and we're just live streaming this session.
Live stream back and forth therapy. But we are both people that have a lot of feelings and have strong feelings. And that's been something that's been helpful, I think, for me too, is having a space where I can talk about those and feel those without the consequence of hurting the people that I'm feeling them about.
Yes. It's like we know each other well enough, but there's enough distance, right, that you can say those things. I'm not literally in your family unit.
No.
I mean, emotionally.
Right.
Metaphorically.
Right in there. We're maybe spending holidays together.
Am I... Right. Will I be at your house for Thanksgiving? Yes. But do I cry when your kids miss me? Yeah, I do. I do.
It's adorable.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
But I am so that's what this is about.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. I am scared. I'll be honest. I'm scared. Like, I feel just I feel it a little bit right here.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it'll be good. It'll be good for us.
Yeah.
And maybe there's somebody out there it's good for too, because this is a very wild and disorienting time.
So wild and disorienting. I don't know. I like that. Oh. Wild and disorienting. Yeah. That's just the name of the season.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we wrap up, because the other thing is we intentionally want these to be shorter episodes that other busy parents can listen to, right? So
very much so.
We're going to try and honor that to some extent. Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk a little bit about like what kinds of things we're going to touch upon in the future?
Oh, well, let me swipe up to that part in my notes.
Swipe away.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of different things that we want to talk about, because again, this phase of motherhood is more than just parenting.
Yes.
I think it'd be great we want to explore our relationship with each other and what that has looked like, how our friendship has grown and changed over time. We want to talk about our mothers when we become a mother.
That has been a ride, let me tell you.
There's many, many episodes there.
Many, many.
I mean,
I like
talking,
how you leaned into the microphone for that
yes,
one.
everyone needs to really hear because this changes the audio. Um, but talking about grief and loss while not having really space for yourself to process those things.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the importance of validation because even though I don't always realize that that's what we're doing for each other, that's so much of what we're doing for each other.
Yeah.
And everybody needs that. Like, you just can't function without it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um,
And then even talking about our bodies. What is it like to be pregnant? What is it like to reconnect with your own body when it's given life to somebody else?
mhm.
I'm very excited for when we start talking about your dating life as a single mom.
Yeah.
I love that phase.
And talk about the overlap of body and dating. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what a trip.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun to talk about. Um, and then, Katie might share a bit more about what to do when your co-parent really dislikes the phase of parenting that you're in, because that has impacted your relationship.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't just impact your parenting, it's impacted your relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And how to make sense of
Yeah.
how relationships change when you're, again, like in
Yes.
stages of crisis, and what that looks like and how to find support, and also how to separate yourself and your own needs out of a crisis situation. And figuring all of that out. So those are just a few of the ideas that we have. I'm sure there will be many, many more topics that will come up across the lifespan of this thing. Because there's just a lot there.
Yep.
There's a lot to be shared.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we're going to run out of content. Will we run out of time?
Yes.
Maybe. I hope not, because I like having this dedicated time with you.
Yeah.
But we will not run out of things to say.
But that's why we're doing them with our super professional microphones in our super professional settings of the car. Because sometimes the only time you have... Yeah, that's true. You're not even in your car. But sometimes the only time you have is like the time that you're waiting in your car to pick up your kids.
Absolutely. Or in the Target parking lot, as you are.
As I am. As I often am.
As you often are. Yes. All right. Well, I think we did it.
I think we did too. I'm excited for this journey.
So am I. Yeah. And I love you. I feel like I just need to say that.
I love you so much.
Like I'm ending a phone call with you. I love you so much.
I love you.
I love you. And I'm excited to learn more about both of us.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
it's
gonna be great.
Where this goes,
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy some bleach because my kitchen sink is pretty dirty.
That's great. I'm gonna go pump. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm not with my baby.
That's a solid send-off line. Is just here's the next item on my to-do list. I've checked off take care of myself for today. Now we're back into the roles.
Now we're doing it. Now we're doing it. All right, let's go do our thing.
Okay.
Love you.
Bye.